Hey, welcome back to another edition of Ego on Break. I'm your host, Jay Andrews, and by always joined by the Mississippi Madman, Logan Creed. You watch anything lately?
Actually, Final Battle 2017 and Funny Equals Money with Colt Cabana's documentary with Grado.
That's the Wrestling Road Diaries, number 3, right?
Yeah, it was real good. I enjoyed the hell out of it.
That's Grado and Kikatara.
Yep. And it's just them going to about maybe 3 or 4 shows, and it was really inspirational, man. I liked it a lot, and it made me really think about, you know how you run a family-friendly show?
Yeah.
There was a point in the documentary where Colt's out there, and there's 2 guys just being jackasses, and they're heckling him, and like even he admits that he loses it.
Yeah.
Instead of concentrating on the whole crowd, he concentrated on these 2 guys, and he winds up cussing. And like at the end, like he felt so bad about it, man. Like ate him up. He's just like, I then realized like I just used the F-bomb, the A-bomb, and all these other bombs in front of little kids because I let these guys make me so damn mad. But, you know, I guess I'd never really thought about it that way. But, and he's like, you know, he goes, people really need family-friendly shows to go to carry their kids.
Right. I mean, I'm a fan of, like, if it was just me and you're like, hey, you want to go to this, you know, this kind of ultra-violent show or this more adult-themed show, I'd probably be down. But if it's, you know, like my kids like wrestling, you know, and even though I don't agree with a lot of stuff, a lot of things, even on TV now, you know, you kind of, flinch about it and go, ooh, you know, maybe I don't want my kid to see that. But at the same time, there's got to be somewhere you can take your kids that like wrestling where you don't want them to see, you know, the half-naked women or, you know, the blood and the guts and the violence. And don't get me wrong, there's plenty of violence in pro wrestling ego. I'm not saying it's not. I mean, you know, we've had ladder matches and table matches and, you know, seen guys get fire thrown on them. But it's not a thing where it's, hey, let's go bleed all over the place, you know.
Well, this was 2 guys just heckling, being
just
trying to be the star of the show. And he even tried to, and he did in a way. He turned the crowd against him. He's like, do you want to deal with these? And that's when he started cussing. Or do you want to see professional wrestling?
Right.
Do you want to deal with these? And then, you know, he flipped him against it, but in the end, he was mad that he used that kind of language in front of kids.
You know, and it's one of those things where he's right. You know, it needs to be both. But at the same time, you know, you're going to have kids come to those, you know, those more adult-themed wrestling wrestling events, as well as you're going to have, you know, those kind of, that crowd that would fit in with that kind of environment at a kid-friendly show.
Yeah.
So you just have to learn to deal with it. But I'm glad that he kind of saw that, hey, I didn't mess up.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool on his part.
But, I mean, it gives you a whole other insight of wrestling, like the comedy stuff. And at the end, King Kataro's out there, and he doesn't have his mask on. He's just the guy.
Yeah.
And they're talking to him, and they're like, and for some reason he goes into Japan, and in the end I understood why. And he's talking about suicide. He said in Japan, and like any Asian country, seriously, suicide's a huge problem. And like they will take their own lives because there's nothing fun in the world. And he said, I'll spend the rest of my life looking for fun instead of suicide.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool, too.
Yeah, so it definitely had a big meaning behind it at the end of why he does what he do.
It's a hell of a story, man. It really is. And it's $12, so I recommend it to anybody.
Yeah. Well, I know that you've kind of dabbled in the documentary. Did it inspire you to want to do something similar?
Makes me want to do something similar. Yeah.
Maybe it's maybe not fun equals money, but something along that same line.
Something to that extent.
Maybe the different styles of wrestling and why guys do wrestling maybe not be a bad idea
what you got you into it for.
Yeah, not like Stone Cold versus The Rock or Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant, but you know what really got you into wrestling. That could be very cool. You know, very cool. If you don't do that, maybe I will. I may steal that.
Dude. It's easy.
So you said you watched Final Battle. How was that?
Decent. I enjoyed the pay-per-view. I thought the main event was pretty bad, to be honest. I think most people did. But Cody come out, his hair is now dyed like his father's.
Oh, he
bled like a stuck pig like his father.
It's kind of cool.
It's just the match itself, I don't know. It's like, it never caught.
Yeah.
And, I mean, Dalton Castle won the match, but it just, I ain't gonna say it was a bad match. It just wasn't a match that, like, it didn't stick out.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, if you've seen Ring of Honor, there's been a lot of great title changes, and I would not recommend that as a great title.
So you think this
match.
should go along the lines of Xavier when he won the title?
Oh yeah, it was just as much garbage as that was. Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Well, you know, Dalton Castle, I mean, he's got the personality. So maybe him and Cody just didn't, mesh well together. So hopefully, I know the guy can have great matches. I've seen him.
Yeah.
And he's got a over the top personality. So hopefully, he can turn it around. And make that.
And like I say, I'm not the only person that said this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just my opinion. I didn't enjoy the match. There were points about it that were good, but it's just like the whole thing didn't click.
Right. Just something off.
Yeah, something was off.
I think the best thing for me, at least, is the fact that, and granted, they didn't win the title, but the boys, they're the Tate twins, who are, I'm not going to say they're local, but they're semi-local because they're kind of southern guys from Tennessee. Yeah. So it's really cool to see them on that big stage and doing things that's kind of different, Yeah,
they were different, all right. They got set on by the champion.
Well, but, hey, sometimes you get set on by the champion, sometimes you're a clown, sometimes...
They also got kidnapped by Cody Rhodes in the storyline, too. They got stuck in a box and mailed off somewhere.
Oh, that's pretty funny. But, it's just cool that, they're out there doing their thing,
Hey, I give them credit. They're getting paid.
That's right. Well, speaking of kind of on the lines of that, where it's maybe, somebody you watched, or like I'm a big fan of the Tate twins because of that fact that they're there, but maybe they're not everybody's cup of tea. But you have any guilty pleasures in wrestling of guys maybe that everybody else kind of hates, or not even hates, or just maybe guys that never get brought up in conversation that you're fans of? Like for me, I think one of the guys that I like to watch, and it's only for a few years, but it's Johnny B. Bad.
I like Johnny B. Bad.
Right, but as Mark Merrow or as the Wild Thing or whatever,
I like Johnny B. Bad.
A lot of people, like, hey, this is not the same guy almost,
I can remember. Do you remember this match? And most people don't because he was Scotty Flamingo at the time, I believe. They had a boxing match.
Yeah.
And they filled his glove up with water. Did you ever see that?
No, but I think I've seen.
But it is so freaking awesome. That was one of the coolest. For some reason, I remember that storyline almost more than I do anything about Scotty Flamingo.
Right. Well, I know a lot of your earlier WCW pay-per-views, like Johnny B. Bad would be like the guy starting off. Yeah. But he'd be the guy that kind of started the pay-per-views off and that kind of thing. And it was because he got the crowd up, I mean, he had the kiss that doesn't miss, and he did the Little Richard thing. He had the glitter gun, and
remember he put the kiss on Brian Pillman, and Brian Pillman knocked his ass cold.
Yeah. But it was a fun character that and you see that, and that guy's a certain way or this or that. But in truth, I mean, he's a character. He's just trying to get attention.
Whatever. He had the hottest freaking wife ever at one point.
Well, Brock will tell you about that.
Brock has her, exactly. But I don't know. I like Das Wunderkind.
Yeah, Alex Wonder.
And
Alex Wonder. Alex Wright. Yeah. I was putting Wonder Kid and Alex together.
I know you like PN News, but I like Disco Inferno.
And Disco's another guy. I don't think he gets a lot of people. Oh, well, he wasn't the best wrestler. And true, he wasn't, but he was capable of having good matches.
There was one point WCW was pushing him pretty hard.
Yeah, well, he was probably, at the time, he was probably one of the top 10 there,
But, I guess it's because, I saw him in that crappy federation out here in Mississippi all the way up to WCW. It's kind of like the Bryan Daniels, but he didn't go as high as Bryan Daniels.
Right.
It's being the champion anyway.
Yep.
I think he was TV champ, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And him and Alex were like the tag team.
Like Boogie Nights or something.
Yeah. So, I mean, they did what he did.
And then he was in...
But you still say Disco Inferno, everybody knows who you're talking about.
Right, absolutely. They're all going to be like, Disco Fever.
Exactly.
Disco Fever.
And I remember Das Wunderkind more than I do Berlin.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that was garbage.
Well, I dug the Berlin look and the idea behind it with the wall and that kind of thing. I just don't think it was, it just maybe wasn't gave enough time, or maybe it was too many people. Like, I've been listening to a lot of the Tony Schiavone podcast and stuff like that. And, I think one of the biggest things that hurt WCW that nobody ever talks about is the fact that they had so many people there that they never really could focus on one or two people and really make them stars. They think about it. The few people that they did really put some effort behind, Goldberg, Diamond Page, both became huge stars. Both could have never made it past mid-card, I mean, they could have been the next Perry Saturn and, whoever, Disco Inferno, they could have definitely been the guys that didn't make one, but they focused some time and effort on them, and they built those guys up to where we believed, hey, these guys are stars. But, you know, when you have a roster of 800 people, you know, and I think that's something that WWE does is, yeah, they have a huge roster now, but if you think back to, like, the days of, you know, your childhood or, you know, the late 80s and, you know, early 80s, late 80s, 90s, you know, their roster may have been 70, 80 people. And that's probably giving it some, you know. So you were like, oh, well, I remember, you know, Ultimate Warrior was a bigger name than, you know, Arn Anderson, but it was because Arn was among 150 people where Warrior was among 6, you know, that was getting attention. So I think that's one of the things that maybe, you know, people don't realize about WCW is that they had so many people on the roster that they couldn't take the time to build anybody, you know.
Well, you know, that's also like that when Vince Russo was coming in and changing everybody's gimmick, like he changed Humongous to General Rich.
Yeah. Well, see, I like the
Prince Ikea become Prince, basically.
Yeah. I didn't like that because, you know, it was stupid. But, like, I thought, you know, the General Erection and, you know, Lieutenant Loco.
He just did it where they could be vulgar.
Right. Well,
that was it.
No, I mean, not yes
Rection,
and no.
Gee, what they talking about?
I got that.
Might as well call him the Blue Pill guy.
Yeah. But I mean, Lieutenant Loco and Corporal Cajun wasn't a vulgar character,
yeah,
you know.
And your general's a hard on. Come on, bro.
He's at full salute.
I guess so. Standing up straight.
But I mean, I remember it. You know, I remember all that. Whereas Hugh Morris, I mean, other than the moonsault,
the Laughing Man.
You know, I mean, that's really what else did he do? You know, he was in the, you know, the Legion of, not the Legion of Doom.
Well, at that point, he was just a guy that was crazy and laughed. He reminded me of what's the guy in Lucha Underground with does the Moth?
Oh, Marty the Moth.
Man. I mean, they basically had the same gimmick.
I love really Marty the Moth.
Well, think about Hugh Morris when he was the Laughing Man. He was Marty the Moth.
The Dungeon of Doom. That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
But you know, like he just wasn't.
But he never. So at least he had some. They didn't do nothing with the character
because there's so many people. You know, I mean, they had.
So now you're
300 or 400
So
people.
congratulations.
So well, hey, better than nothing.
I guess so.
Oh, I don't know. Sometimes maybe nothing's better.
I'd rather be nothing than a dick.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Like in ECW, did you have any guy like maybe they wasn't huge like, you know, the guys you hear talking about? Like for me, it was Roadkill. Like I like
Roadkill. I thought he was he was a great athlete. Dude.
But like he wasn't the. You know, the Tommy Dreamer, the Devon Dudley, Bubba Ray Dudley, the Sandman. You know, he wasn't one of those main guys, but to me, I think he had a character that really stood out in a land of misfits. He was probably the biggest one, you know.
Like Nova. I like Nova.
Yeah.
Nova was very talented, man. I thought he could have been RVD.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, like, they never did nothing with him.
Mm-mm. I mean,
Rise ECW was going down like he was coming up.
Right.
And then he becomes some kind of health instructor or some crap.
Simon Dean.
WWE, and it was god awful.
Well, you know, like him and Frankie Kazarian were in developmental as a tag team, and they were like, and don't quote me on this, but it was like Evolution or Revolution or something, but it was him and Kazarian as a tag team, and then they like the black leather pants, and like they were kicking butt, you know, so it's kind of a shame you didn't get to see that version.
You're going to be the hard body guy that sells really bad exercise equipment that doesn't work.
Yeah, you're. You know those gimmicks you remember that didn't work? Yeah, you can be that guy.
This is that guy.
Yeah. I mean, everybody knows kind of my love for like Bash and Booger, Repo Man, Doink the Clown, so I don't think that's really like a guilty pleasure, you know.
I did have a question. You were talking about topics, so let's get off this and get your clearly at the end.
Yeah, obviously.
What was your favorite entrance in wrestling? Or do you have any, like your top 5? I can do mine easily.
Even though I'm a fan of this guy, but not a fan of this guy, if that makes sense. The Warrior. I thought Ultimate Warrior had an awesome entrance. If you were 50-5, you know, you had to like that, you know, shaking the ropes and all that.
Fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he would definitely be on the list. Man, like the Brood, where they had the Ring of Fire and all that kind of stuff. That was really cool. To me, again, Johnny B. Bad, his entrance is one of the things I really enjoyed in WCW. You know, maybe Sandman from ECW.
Remember Johnny B. Bad? He had the glitter gun, right?
Yeah, and you know, and even later he had like the big robes and stuff, and so I'd say probably him. Sandman in ECW just coming through the crowd, smashing his head.
Plus his song. Man.
Right, yeah. That helped a lot. Man, I mean, is there any bigger interest than The Undertaker? I mean,
The Undertaker, yeah.
You know, I think that's top of the list.
Usually his interest longer than the match.
Yeah, absolutely. In TNA, man, I don't know, like.
To me, that's the part they're missing.
Yeah, I miss the days, and I don't know how many people really like this about TNA, but you remember when they came out in the tunnel?
Yeah, no, that's what I like.
Like, that was probably one of my favorite, to me, different. That was cool. Yeah, it was different.
It reminded me of The Running Man. Did you ever see that old movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger? Yeah. That's what it reminded me of.
And I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn when I say this, but I believe they had 2 ramps.
Yeah, come out of each side.
So you had guys from one side and the other.
Something they took from one of the Japanese companies.
Okay, so I didn't know if that was a thing or if it's just where they filmed it, you know.
Because Foley was talking about it in one of the books. That when he was doing the hardcore stuff, it's like one was running from this side, one was running from this side, and they're like, it's so damn far down, it's like a football field. He's like, yeah, screw this, we're gonna walk.
Yeah. So, man, I really dug that. I guess, and the other, if you had to really put a guys in TNA that did it, was Beer Money when they rode the coolers down.
Yeah, no, they had a good entrance.
So I mean, I guess those would be kind of my top guys. Rey Mysterio doing the, shooting up through the stage, that was kind of cool. But I mean, as far as just an every time, kind of the same old entrance, I mean, I'd have to say, Warrior, Brood, Johnny B. Bad, Sandman, Undertaker. That'd probably be.
Okay. Well, mine was Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah.
Hogan.
Yeah.
Because Hogan had a great entrance.
Yeah.
His exit was just as good because he always did the pose down.
Hogan must pose.
I mean, but nobody does anything at the end. They might walk to the corner and they might flex for a minute or two, but Hogan put on a show after already putting on a show.
Yep. If you listen to the Bruce Pritchard podcast, like even when Hogan lost, he had to do it because Vince was Hogan must pose. Yeah. Like it was a rule. Like, Hogan didn't lose, but if he did lose, he still had to stay in pose.
That's what I'm saying. But he always put on a show from top to bottom.
Yeah, that was one of the things they were talking about with, what was it, WrestleMania 9 when Hogan came back out like, hey, Brad, I'll beat him up or beat up Yoko or whatever. But the whole reason was because Hogan must pose. So, like, they had to end the show with Hogan posing,
You know what? Now when he comes out, if he comes back ever, but he comes out posing.
Yeah.
When he come out as the NWO, he come out playing the guitar.
Yeah.
I mean, there was always something to his entrance that was entertaining as hell to me, even as a good guy or a bad guy.
New Age Outlaws, I dug the fact they came to the ring, doing the, you didn't know.
I like them. I can't stand the Enzo Amore crap. I want to throw that.
Well, I dug it, but it became the point of almost, it was like, well, if we don't get these 4 or 5 things in, then it wasn't good. But I do think a lot of people miss the fact of, say I didn't get a promo, so I couldn't get my character over. Well, you have 30 seconds, 45 seconds, whatever it is, walking to the ring and from the ring, that you have an opportunity to get yourself over. And I don't think a lot of people take advantage of that. Like Edge one time has said, the crowd feeds off your energy when you come out. And if you always watch, like he came out really hyped, really big. I try to do that same thing as a wrestler. As I always try to, that first 3 or 4 seconds was always, or even if I was bad, I'd come out like, shut up, or whatever. I tried to...
you got to get him from the start.
Right. I mean, I didn't want to walk to the ring and have them guessing, was I good or bad? And now, you'll have some people say, well, you shouldn't be... the crowd should be able to tell if you're a good guy or a bad guy based on your actions in the ring. You shouldn't have to tell them, shut up, or hey, high-five me.
If you ain't got them at the beginning, they're not going to be
right,
there.
But at the same time, like, I think you have tons and tons of people that come to wrestling fans that wrestling events that are not wrestling fans. Oh, look, there's something happening. Let's go watch that. Yeah. So, if you don't tell them what to do, maybe they're not smart enough to go, oh, look, he's cheating. As far as they know, maybe cheating's normal, So,
my other 4 would be Randy Savage.
Yep.
Because his entrance was awesome. I'm going to go with Mick Foley. As Cactus Jack.
Oh.
I loved Cactus Jack, man. Cactus was nothing like anybody else.
Right.
I actually liked when he was Mankind, too, because if you remember at the beginning, when he came out in the leather, he would have one entrance song, and then his exit song was piano music playing. Yeah. Like the piano music calmed him.
Yeah.
And I remember that. I know 80% of the people in the world probably don't even know what the hell I'm talking about, but if you go back and look, you'll find it. And
because he had two separate musics.
Rob Van Dam and ECW's entrance music was amazing. Yeah. And like you talk about fan interaction. When you can make people do your entrance, that's shit. Come on, bro. Yes. Well, yeah. That was my last one. Was Daniel Bryan. Yeah. Actually, Bryan Danielson for me. I mean, I like Bryan Danielson.
So you're more of a Final Countdown? It's the final.
Yes, I love the Final Countdown. Not too big on the last song's coming out too, but it fits his gimmick. I get where it come from.
Yeah.
The Cry of the Valkyrie.
Are there anybody else?
Ric Flair.
Ric Flair.
Because I'm not a huge Flair fan. Yeah. I'm really not. And I know most people go, oh, that's sacrilege, but I like Flair as a wrestler. Maybe not as a person. That's how I'd go with it.
Well, I'm sure if you got to know a lot of wrestlers, you
I'd probably feel that way about everybody.
So, or are there any other guys that have this, like, Foley had an entrance song and exit song. So is there any more people that have different entrances and exits that you know
That's
of?
the only one I ever knew. And I remember Foley's, Foley said it in his book. He said, well, how if we have two different entrances? And he sent me a mail. I was like, what do you mean? He goes, well, like I went psycho and something's got to calm my nerves and calm me down, like I'm taking a medicine or something, to calm me down, or getting tased. He's like, what if piano music played and like you can see me slowly calming down? And like they did it for I guess a year maybe, but then they quit doing it.
That's cool.
But I thought it was cool. I honestly did. I got it, but if you didn't know about it, you were kind of wondering what the hell we're talking about.
Yeah, what's going on here? Yeah, and I think other than that, like Steve Austin and those kind of Shawn Michaels with the big fancy entrances and that kind of thing. So
I guess in WCW, I really like Scott Hall's because he always did the hey yo.
Yeah.
And just I don't know.
Yeah. Like Jericho had that where he tried to get the fans involved in it. He'd lean up on them and stuff.
Oh, he said he hated doing that. He said like it was somebody in the background's entrance. He goes, I feel like the biggest, And he's like, this is so douchebaggery. He's like, I'm throwing myself in the ring.
Please cheer me.
I got sweaty guys touching another sweaty guy. Yeah. He's like, ugh. I don't want to do this. So.
Crazy Steve had a cool entrance. Remember the menagerie or whatever it is in TNA?
That was
but Crazy Steve would ride the tricycle with the balloons and stuff. I always dug that. I was like, I could be Crazy Steve.
And he's the only one to come out of anything out of the whole thing too.
Yeah, but he's gone. They let him go.
Yeah, finally.
Yeah. But, maybe try to get Crazy Steve and Ego.
Let's talk about one last thing before we go.
Would you like to see Crazy Steve and Ego?
Sure.
Anybody else want to see Crazy Steve and Ego?
I was a fan, honestly. Me too. The Jericho Omega is coming up like this weekend or next weekend.
Yeah,
I
it's
can't
close.
remember which one. But I don't know if you've seen anything to see the build up. Have you seen any of the?
Oh yeah,
where he threw the damn table at him and hit a fucking. That shit's awesome.
Hey, what's those F-bombs there, Colt Cabana?
I said freaking.
Yeah, I hear you.
But it was. I mean,
Who's winning?
Who do I think's going to go over?
Mm-hmm.
I say Smart Money says Jericho goes over. That way there's a sequel.
See, I say...
Because it's not the end.
I say Omega goes over and Jericho attacks him at the end and sets up for something maybe at a 10,000-seat arena.
Well, see, I say that, but that's why I say there would be there's no real reason for a rematch if the good guy wins automatically.
But if he gets his ass kicked afterwards...
So what?
I mean, if you beat me, then I beat you up.
You already won.
Nah, wrestling's built on run-ins. Come on.
You already won.
Nah.
I don't want to see a rematch if you already won.
Nah, I'm down.
That was the reason they never did a Hogan Goldberg rematch because he'd already won. He's like, what's the point?
It was horrible. This was the point.
No, he won the belt. Like that
it was like
still not good. Well, still, it was Goldberg's favorite moment. He said, I didn't like the match neither, but I'm just telling you.
Who won out of Brock and Goldberg? Like the first time.
God, I don't even remember.
The good
Goldberg.
The good guy?
Yeah.
So.
And then he won 2 more times.
It was horrible.
They were all horrible.
But, no, I'm telling you. Omega, Jericho's jumping him afterwards. That's what I think happened.
I'm telling you, Jericho's going to go over. If there's a rematch. If there isn't a rematch, Omega's going to win.
I think there's going to be a rematch at the 10,000-seat arena.
You're going to have a whole lot of money to pay Jericho, brother.
Bro, they got money.
I mean, I know it's the gift that keeps on giving, but...
Who says Jericho's not one of those silent partners? He was in on
He could be.
He was in on that Wrestling Revolution that was supposed to have started and never did, where they renamed all the guys and all that stuff and filmed like 10 episodes. Jericho was helping finance that.
Oh, I know. Yeah, but I mean,
I'm pretty sure he was helping finance that.
To me, smart money is you want to see the bad guy get his butt kicked, but he still goes over, and then the good guy eventually wins, not automatically wins. There's no point. That's bad booking.
Yeah, I think Omega's winning.
No.
We're going to see.
No.
Hey, if y'all want to see us bet on this, shoot us a message and we'll bet.
I ain't betting money.
No, money.
I'll bet like a cake in your face. How about that? No, fuck a haircut. You ain't got no hair. I did say
loser loses his hair.
I want to shave my head again. You ain't got no hair. It don't even count.
Yeah, well, my chin. All right, guys, let us know. Hey, check us out. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube.
Cake in the face. Whoever loses get a cake in the face.
Yeah.
I'll go buy a damn cake.
All right. So, like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Hey, check out our sponsors. They're on the bottom of all our flyers, and just let them know that Pro Wrestling Video sent you. All right, guys. Till next time. Later.